Hello everyone and welcome back to Angie B Cards and Crafts. I'm Angela of Angie B, and today I'm going to do the first one of my 10-minute tutorials. So this is going to be around the difference between stencils and masks, and it's something that I do quite often get asked about, is how do you know if it's a stencil, how do you know if it's a mask? So you're really looking at what is it that you are trying to achieve, because that will help you identify whether you've got a stencil or a mask. Put very simply, a mask, so this is a mask. So I've used this mask to mask or protect the image that I don't want to be coloured, and then I've added colour around it, and then I've removed it, and that image is protected because I masked it. Okay? With this one, I've used the stencil, so that's the hole, and put it over the top of the image, and then put the ink on, so that has given me the exact image of that hole. So in very, very simple terms, a mask protects what is underneath it. A stencil allows you to make the picture according to how that stencil is cut out. Okay, so that's in simple terms. There are a range of different types of masks and stencils. There are a range of materials that you can get them in. So here are just a few of the materials that I happen to have. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you where they're all from. I want to say that this one's Andy Skinner. Now this one is quite obviously a stencil, because the writing that you see when you put it down onto your paper, just let me grab a piece of paper. When you put it down onto your paper and you then apply ink, so I'm just using Distress Oxide and an egg applicator. As you can see, I use it for several colours before I consider washing it. So I want the image of the word steam and that arrow on my paper. So I take my ink, hold the stencil still, and then go over the top. Now you have two options. You can pounce, as I am at the moment, or you can smoosh it in or rub it along. You know, it's about how you want the ink to be applied and how accurately you want it to be applied. So I know that when I lift this up, I want it to say steam and have an arrow, and it says steam and has an arrow. Okay, so that is a stencil. What I see on here is what I want an image to be of. This one is from Stampendous, and as you can see, it is a metal compass. Now these metal ones are particularly good for using with a range of different mediums, and I'll be looking at how to use mediums through stencils in another video. Just for today, all I'm looking at is using the stencils with ink, because we're looking at the difference between stencils and masks. We're not looking at application. Okay, so for this one, if I want to get that compass, I'm just going to pop it a little bit higher up. I don't want to put all of this top fancy bit on, so I'll just put a little bit of ink through the end, and then I'm just very, very quickly going to go around. Now, I'm not worrying about applying this, because if I was, I would be being much more careful. This is just to show you, I want that image on my paper, and that's what I get. Okay, so a stencil, you want the image that is there onto your paper. Human, you go through it with the ink, and you get human. You want a circle, you go through it with the ink, and you get the circle. So a stencil, what you see, that is what you're going to get. A mask, on the other hand, means that you're wanting to protect something that is underneath. And I'm just having a look now. My masks have all disappeared. So the main mask that you would consider is something quite simple like this oval. In strictest terms, this is in fact a mask as well, because the actual image is going to be made. If I put this onto here and just add some ink, so again, I'm not being overly careful, I'm just putting some ink on to demonstrate what I want to show you. Okay, so I actually want this outline, but when I lift this, the outline's going to be in white because I've protected what is underneath it. Okay, so this is masked off the white areas. Now what I'm going to do is flip this card over, and I'm going to show you how I then clean off masks and stencils. So with a mask, I've just squirted it with a little bit of water, pop it down onto the paper, get my raggy, and all the raggy is doing is absorbing it. And what I would say is, if you're going to do this and you're doing it on a card or on a piece of work, then make sure that you have something which doesn't have a lot of other gunk on it. This is a raggy that's been in use since this morning, so it's relatively clean. But you may want to consider, if you're doing a piece of work, using kitchen towel, for the simple reason you can reuse the kitchen towel in your work, but you're protecting it from any other colours. But what happens is you then get what would present if this were a stencil. So these would be the lines that would be cut out and you'd be putting the ink through. So you can use masks to get a stencil effect. So this is why I don't worry too much about whether it's called a mask or a stencil. The only time I really consider that something is a mask is if, as with this original image, I'm going to be masking off a particular area. So to do something like this, you could even just get a piece of card, cut out a circle, put it around, and then put the ink on. And to put the ink on this, what I did was actually come off the mask onto the paper. Rather than smooshing round it like this, if you come off the mask, you get a crisper edge. Okay, and a softer edge on the outsides, whereas with this you get quite a dense colour. And again with this one, if you come in off the edge to start off with, and as with any inking, if you are doing, you can see there's the lines, so it looks a little bit messy. I'm not worried about that, because what I'm then going to do is come in and colour over the top of it. So with inking, what you want to do is not expect a perfect covering with your first round of ink, because the chances of that are pretty slim. You need to add layers to get it to actually ink smoothly, and then you can lift off your stencil. So I hope that has cleared up the difference between masks and stencils. Masks cover the area underneath to protect it, and stencils give you the image shown by the outline. I will be doing more 10-minute tutorials over the next few weeks, and hope that you'll be interested in the different topics. I'll go into different things to do with stenciling, including using various mediums through the stencils and masks, and looking at how you can use them to help items stand out on your work. Thanks for watching. Bye.